All right, peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, the big conversation that is continuing all around the country throughout various spaces. Should President Biden drop out the race? I'm going to share with you what one conservative writer had to say. Then I'm also going to show you what a liberal had to say around this issue. So we'll talk about that. Also, we're going to celebrate Black love because it's Valentine's Day today. Yesterday was National Black Love Day. And we're going to be highlighting a couple that has been doing it for some time and they are still loving it. That's right. They've been married for over 40 years and hasn't dropped the ball after all this time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Also going to be checking in with the musical artist Tiana Yanni about making music for love and the soul. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the conversation. Happy Wednesday, folks. Happy Valentine's Day to you as well. We got a great show for you. First and foremost, let's talk about where we are streaming at. We're streaming live right now on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Just download the app for free. Follow us on social media. And of course, we ask that you continue to support us as you have been doing. And over these past few days, a number of you have been buying a lot of memberships on behalf of the Bring the Phone fan club at different levels. So we want to continue to encourage you to do so. But I thank you so much to all of you who already have supported us. And for those who haven't had a chance to do so, you can do so on our website today, again, at blackstarnetwork.com. We're also streaming on Amazon platforms. Check us out on Amazon News on your Fire TV. We're on Amazon Prime Video. That's right. You can find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, The News. Also, you can find us on the Freevee network where we're on now under News, and we're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us on the Live TV, The News, and Opinions. We're also streaming on Brother Roland Martin's social media, so check us out on Brother Roland Martin's Facebook page. You can find us there. And we're on Brother Roland Martin's YouTube channel, where you can also find us and the illustrious Culture crew. And big shout out to the crew. That's right, the crew that's on the X platform, on the Facebook page, and of course in the chat on the YouTube channel. We truly appreciate you. And when y'all come into the chat, make sure you just hit that thumbs up, get the subscribe, help us with our subscriptions and getting those likes up. And more importantly, making sure that the algorithms send you our way as we have these conversations. Now, big shout out. Let me just see who's in the crew very quickly. Then we're going to bring my sister Suzette Speaks into it. The ABX girl, I see you. Date Mike 22. I see you already jumping into the conversation. Love it, Date Mike. You said if Biden drops out, then what for the Democrats as to who runs against Donald Trump? Okay, we're going to talk about that. My brother, Pastor Damon Blissett, thank you so much for checking in. Cindy D, Pauline Hurt, I see you. Sister Debbie, good to connect with you once again. Peace and blessing to you as well. Brother Willie Frazier, I see you. My guy, Brian Christian, good to connect with you once again. CC Knight, good to connect to see you once again. I kind of miss you a little bit, CC. Let me see who else we got here. And many of you are checking in. And again, folks, just hit that thumbs up and make sure you kind of just throw the algorithms off a little bit. It may want to try to deter you from supporting us here on Black Star Network, but make sure you bring it back to us here because we got some great conversations lined up for you. All right, let's check in with my sister. She's a great contributor here on The Culture and on Roland Martin Unfiltered. She's a licensed attorney out in the state of Florida, and she's the host of the Suzette Speaks show, and she's also a political strategist to talk to us a little bit about these issues. My sister Suzette Speaks,
hey.
looking all Valentine-like.
No. It'll be just me, but praise God, we still showing love. No Valentine's today, but we can be each other's Valentine.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right?
I'm in love with the culture.
Let's go. Happy Valentine's, everybody. Hope you guys have a beautiful Valentine's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Suzette. This has been. I wanted to give us enough time to talk about the complexities of this conversation, especially since of that report that came out from the special counsel, Mr. Robert Hur, describing the president as a man who is an elderly man with poor memory, and that's just part of the characterization. Of course, the president spoke out against that on Thursday of last week, but the conversation continues all across this country. A lot of people are talking about it, on both sides of the aisle. What say you, Suzette, about this whole thing? And I want to just start it off because now the conversation is not just about his mental fitness and acuity. Now there is even a little shift in conversation that maybe the president should drop out the race. Now, this is based on what one conservative writer, I want to throw this up there, Suzanne, I'll get your take on it. This is what one conservative writer has written for The Atlantic, talking about this idea of the president dropping out. Now, here's the thing. This is a guy who has been, voting for Republicans. He said since 2002, and then after that time, he kind of switched over, but he still sees himself as a conservative. And I wanted us to at least have this conversation about it. This is from Mr. Damon Linker, who is a political scientist, a senior lecturer in political science at the University of Pennsylvania. And this is what he had to say in his op-ed about the president stepping out of the race. Take a look at this. Let's go to quote one. He said, whatever the source of the problem, meaning that why are we in this situation? Whether it's the president keeping it up or other folks around the president, he's saying, whatever the source of this problem, Biden is putting his self-regard ahead of the good of the country. As a result, both he and his party are badly undermining the most compelling rationale of the 2024 campaign, which is the need to do everything possible to prevent Trump from returning to the White House. If the prospect of a second Trump term really poses this dangerous threat to American democracy, why is the Democratic Party depending on an incumbent president with an approval number lower than Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, or even Trump himself were facing at the equivalent moment before their failed re-election bids? Woo! All right, let's kick it off, Suzette. Talk to me. What do you make of Mr. Linker's assertion that this is a situation that we find ourselves in, and that more importantly, the president needs to kind of step to the side a little bit and not think about himself in the process?
I would never take any advice from a conservative lecturer, although he has right to have his opinion. I'm not surprised by it at all. And I wish he had the same energy for his party's candidate, or presuming, as you said, that he's conservative. Why not also apply the same standard to Mr. Trump? Now, both Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump are of the, I guess, holding the record for the eldest to have run, or will be the eldest to hold, either person winning. Especially if Mr. Biden wins, the position of the person who is the oldest person to have held the presidential campaign, the president's office. My goodness. I'm looking at, the reason why I'm looking a little flustered, I'm looking at time, it's actually time for a break. But I would love to come back and chat on the other side of the coin, which is that I think there's a double standard when it comes to both Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden, looking at both their records of having senior moments, if you will. I was just listening to Nikki Haley this morning on the Today Show, blasting Mr. Trump as having diminished mental capacity, blasting him as being unhinged. And we're seeing, I think, a little bit of a propaganda campaign against Mr. Biden, which only leads to one result, which is that would be a Trump campaign win. So I would say be very careful. Don't only look at what is a valid conversation to be having, but also look at why this conversation is happening now and
Mm-hmm.
what might be the outcome of said conversation. Because like it or not, this is the system that we live in. Yes, you and I probably could pick 10 other people that we might want to
Mm-hmm.
running instead of Mr. Biden or Mr. Trump. But the reality is neither of them is changing for this election cycle. So if we want to pretend and we want to, have conjecture around what might happen, I also think we are leading voters to a possibility of being, despondent, have apathy, and maybe not even show up. And we know if our more liberal leaning people don't show up, what's going to happen. So I'm very careful to analyze who's writing it and why. I know there was a very interesting bit by John. I forget his name.
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart, when it comes to his comedy and coming back, and I'm glad he's back. And his opening night, boy, gave it to both. I like the fact that it was at least balanced in the ageism, even though he's saying it's not ageist to have this conversation, which I do think there is a valid conversation to be had. But let's take the break, Farajii. Let me get my little druthers together, and I'm actually going to put stuff in the chat. No, I'm having a technical issue as well, so I'll put something.
We got you.
All right,
we got you. Yes, we got you. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, crew, I want your take on this as we talk about what's your take on how the president should move. More importantly, how the Democratic Party should move. I'm going to continue to bring up some excerpts from this piece from The Atlantic from this conservative political scientist, who's putting forth an idea that even though we are further along in the primary season, there could still be a possibility that the Democrats could change their candidate, change their nominee. Whew, it's getting hot in here. Folks, join me in the discussion. We're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube chat and Facebook page. And stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. This is an opportunity for us to be able to speak to our issues.
Y'all better understand something real quick. We ain't going nowhere.
It is a continual battle that we see all across this country. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be streamed.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
He makes sure that our stories are told.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Joined by my sister Suzette Speaks, who is an attorney. She's the host of Suzette Speaks Show. She's also a political strategist. As we talk about this ongoing conversation about the president and his mental acuity and whether he is able to go through another grueling 4 years, this has been the talk since last week, since the special counsel, Mr. Robert Hur, put out a very scathing report about the president's memory and his ability to connect the dots on some things. And it has created a political firestorm. Some folks would even go as far as to say it was a political hit job against the president. And it also opens up the conversation. And I think, and to your point, Suzette, that you made before the pause, that we can't eliminate the fact that Donald Trump is also in the same basket as well. That, you know, in terms of, I think he's only like 3 or 4 years younger than President Biden. But at the same, say that again? 77. Mm-hmm. Right. So he's younger than President Biden, but we have seen a lot of missteps as well.
Listen, I couldn't just do my open just now. So it can happen to anybody when it comes to stutters and movement. I think we do have to acknowledge 81 and 77 are advanced, and we don't need to compare them to the 35-year-old and the 40-year-old, because we know that there are changes that are going to happen as a part of aging. I do think, however, we have to be very aware that there is a narrative that is being pushed, perhaps even propagandizing this particular issue, because you cannot attack President Biden on his record. That's the thing. When it comes to major legislation, he's passed more than definitely our lifetimes. But since the 60s and other revolutionary pieces of legislation like the Civil Rights Act and others, when we're looking at the list of what he's done, when it comes to 12 million jobs created, when it comes to the appointees on the federal bench being the most diverse that they've ever been, when it comes to doing legislation on behalf of veterans, climate change, looking at border policy, even though Republicans rejected it last week, when it comes to actually getting things done, he's done so. And he's a very effective a leader, whether you like his age or not. So we don't want to, I guess, misguide, in a sense, folks into thinking that this issue doesn't matter, because it does. But I also balance it with the realities of what we want. Like the election is not a wishing well of what we wish. If there was money raised on behalf of another candidate, if there was voting, if there were marches, if there were things in the street really supporting someone else, we would see a different outcome. But at this stage, 9 months before a presidential election, the reality is that the two candidates that are there are those that will remain. So
but here's the question though, Suzette, and speaking of the president's record, but his approval numbers are low. You know, when we're looking at that now, how do people, if you're talking about your approval rating is lower than the guy that has 91 charges in some cases, or that the overall view that the American people has of its commander in chief it's not the highest, it's not the most favorable. Now, that's based on what the president has done and his administration is doing. How do you get people out of that space to not think twice about this president?
I think approval ratings are a snapshot in time. And I think, again, based on what is being either said or not adequately shared about the accomplishments of the administration, I think you're going to have folks who are looking at, again, the headlines and the snippets on social media and the comedy of one Jon Stewart and other folks who are going to poke fun at, I think, what is low-hanging fruit. Someone else had asked me to come on a show called The Problem with Biden. I'm like, it's easy to pick on his physical attributes, because once again, when you look at what he's done as far as advancing the country and protecting the least of these, when it comes to, I'm just thinking about all the insulin and all the things that on the medical side of his administration's agenda has helped advance and put money to the states that the states oftentimes reject. Like I keep saying, we got to understand where money flows. The federal government can make, for example, like in Florida, $250 million available for example, food aid programs for disadvantaged folks, but you have a governor that can refuse the federal funds. So when it comes to what the federal government is doing, being that we have, I guess, a little bit more work to do in educating folks as to what has actually happened that has impacted them, their kids, their neighborhoods, the bottom line of their cities, the infrastructure bill, what it actually means, the FACT Act, what it actually means. There's education that needs to happen there, but it still occurred in a bipartisan way. A Democratic president has been able to move, again, the needle on climate change and other major pieces of legislation like no predecessor in recent history. So age aside, that is a fact. And that's what we're not necessarily hearing in the comedy skits. We're not really hearing when we see the TikToks and things like this, because it's easy to pick up the gas, or it's easy to overly, to me, amplify those in the social media climates that we have now, where people want to believe, oh my goodness, I can't trust this person. But the fact is, if you look at his record, you might want him for another 4 years based on the record of what he's been able to accomplish in the past.
All right, let's
double-edged sword when it comes to, I think it's a double standard. NPR just had a great and analysis about why it seems like it's different when Trump does it, because as I said, his only, I guess, surviving opponent, Nikki Haley, has gotten on that bandwagon hard. And it's uncomfortable because, again, the strongest voting bloc in our country is our seniors. And when they talk about how Biden's age is referenced versus how Trump, who also has made major gaffes in thinking instead of Nancy Pelosi, he's calling out Nikki Haley for being on the Capitol or not refusing help on the day of January 6th, et cetera, et cetera. He's had a couple kerfuffles as well, but you don't see them as emphasized for as long as we do with the president. But yeah, there's I think a consequence to this drumbeat. So we have to be very mindful again of what is it leading to. We can have the conversation, but what does it want to implant in people's minds, and what is the action that they want them to have or not have when it comes to election day?
All right, let me get a couple of comments from the crew really quickly, because folks are checking in from all around the country, and folks, you can do the same. Just post your comments in the YouTube chat as we're streaming live on Brother Roland Martin's YouTube page. Very quickly, QDK, you say yes, President Biden should drop out. It's selfish for him to run. He needs to retire and take care of himself. We'll address that. And on the other side, Pauline,
you're giving it to the Republicans. That's all that means.
What'd you say?
It means you're giving this election away to the Republicans. That's what that means. It sounds like great in theory, but we have to think again of the realistic, most plausible outcome. If you were to take him out of the race at this point, someone with far less name recognition, because again, the weed out process, it doesn't seem like it happened, but it happened. Since last year, the polls between Mr. Biden versus any other major Democrat, it always ends up Mr. Biden has had the favorable outcome, and the Cory Bookers and the Gavin Newsoms weren't not even, in comparison to where he was in terms of popularity, name recognition, and desire to run. So it's good to think about who we would want to place in the future. But if he wasn't the most popular or the most recognizable, or the person that people said they trusted leading up to now, it's just not, this is not a today decision. This has kind of been vetted over the last, we've been talking about his possible run for a couple of years almost now. So to make it
that's
like,
the thing.
why is this now the thing? There again has not been any major push behind any other candidate. If there was, we would be talking to them, but they're not. Even when Gavin Newsom was doing his little, I guess, gut check and flying around the country and talking to donors, et cetera, and we hear Kamala say, well, I'm ready, just in case, we'll see if that picks up any steam. But it doesn't seem as if, and it clearly up until this moment, we haven't had a real contender that was viable. And
well, I think there are a couple of things. We got to take a quick pause, but I think there are a couple of things that's at play here. You do have some level of Democratic pressure probably on some of these candidates. I mean, Dean Phillips, for example, he's running, he's lost in primaries and whatnot. But I feel like within the party, there's probably just and I'm not saying that this is happening. I'm saying it's not crazy to think that it's not crazy to think that Democratic pressure doesn't exist, because we saw how that went with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. You see what I'm saying? So it's not crazy, because both parties operate like, look, somebody's got to do it, and we're looking at the numbers, we're looking at this, we're looking at that. Sir, you won't have to sit down. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, you're popular in some areas of the country, but you won't have to take one for the team. That's not crazy to think that those type of conversations aren't happening on the Democratic side. And so I get it. I trust me, I get it. But I do think that this is one of those conversations that we should have, because Americans, whether you're black or white, Asian, Latino, Native American, whoever you are, folks aren't happy. Folks just are not happy.
But
again,
and
this is not. And look, I'm talking about. I ain't talking about polls. I'm just talking about people that you go into barbershops, you go into. People are like, you should not be going to the polls to elect your president of the United States with. That's crazy.
But people gonna say Dean who? Ask the
average voter. I'm not saying Dean Phillips. I'm not saying Dean Phillips.
Like the overall popularity, even though, like I said, this snapshot, 39% is not where we would hope any president would be. But Barack Obama has been low. So has Mr. Trump during his term. This is like, again, an evolving dance between the electorate, the people who vote, and the people who are in office. And when they don't feel satisfied, and again, I know it comes down to pocketbook issues even right now, when you go buy your gas, when you go buy your groceries, even though inflation is on the decrease, is decreasing, and could have been much worse had it not been for Bidenomics, which again, I don't think the average person understands what that means and how much it could have been had there had not been like an administrative plan to make sure we are at least holding and now on the decline. No one understands that as deeply as the average person may not understand it, I should say.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation. More comments coming in from you, crew. I'd love to hear your take on this, as Suzette and I are going back and forth and just really exploring the dynamics of this, because there are a lot of different facets of this discussion, and we're going to try our best to continue to explore them on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat to the Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister, Suzette Speaks. As we're having this conversation, folks, talking a little bit about this ongoing discussion about the President Biden, age, his ability to do the job another 4 years, and the impact that it has on voters. And this is a big conversation. And let me just go and say, this is not a conversation that only includes President Biden. This is also a conversation about President Trump. And to go to what Jon Stewart said on the Daily Show earlier this week on Monday, it's like, how did we get here and what the heck are we doing, right? Like we're in this place, right? Now, I'm seeing your comments, and I want us to address some of the concerns that many of you are having. So let me go take a couple of comments from the crew here. And I saw your comment, Carolyn. I just want to address it because I think it's a good comment, but I think we need to discuss it. Carolyn Harrison, my sister, you said ageism is alive and well. I found this atrocious and a real lack of respect in general for elders. This isn't a statement of whether or not you vote for him. Let's get some respect for our elders. Now, I want to know, Carolyn, with that statement, are you saying that it's atrocious that we have this discussion about a man and don't think he could do the job? Or is it atrocious that we expect this man to save America and don't let him retire and to rest and to serve as an advisor on that? I want to be clear of that, because that's what's unclear for me. So Carolyn, please let me know when you're talking about it's atrocious and respect for elders, because I don't think it's disrespectful. And this is not even just about President Biden. This is just in general. If we're talking to older folks and we say to older folks, hey, you've had your time. We thank you for your service and all that you have done for this country, or all that you've done for this company, or all that you've done for this family. We want you. Is that disrespectful? Let's see if we can get some new and fresh faces and new leadership for whether it's the country, whether it's a company, whether it's the family, wherever you are, whether it's an organization or something. If a person gets to a certain age, and I know many of us, we got to ask ourselves, at 80 plus years old or nearing 80 years old, do you want to have stress? Now, I'm not asking this question because I'm like, oh, I think I'm asking this because I want us to look at both sides of the equation. Is that a form of disrespect? And for those who are elders and are a part of the chat, when your children says, oh, mom or dad or grandma and granny, just sit down and rest yourself, do you get upset? Oh, get off of me. I don't want to rest. I mean, we're talking about growing older. Well, this is not about politics. This is talking about growing older. This is about taking care of yourself, to your point, Carol. So what is, I want us to have a proper understanding of, is it, how disrespectful is it to ask somebody that has done public service work well over 50 years, put in his time, and I'm not saying that this should be the course of action. I'm just saying, and for the sake of the conversation, how is that disrespectful? Especially for the American people, or the growing diverse population of folks. How is that disrespectful? Talk to me. All right, let me bring in my sister Suzette and get your take on this. Coretta, my sister, you say you can say thank you for your service at the ballot box. We complain but won't vote the old folks out. Hypocrisy. Well, maybe this will be the beginning of it. If we thank him for his service for the next 4 years, then we do have to think about the health and well-being of him, right? And the question that I pose for the sake of this conversation is, what message are we sending to the next generation of political leaders, especially within the Black community? We talk about ageism in the Black community, and I think it's interesting that some of us get so upset when we talk about it, but it's a very real thing. It is a very real thing. When we talk about Black leadership, we talk about ageism. We talk about Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton, or we talk about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or other Black leaders, and we say, well, they are getting up in age now. Who's next? We have those conversations. So it's not, again, it's not out of the realm of discussion for us to have those discussions. Janelle, you said folks are not taking the threat as seriously as it is. This discussion should have been had and acted upon during the primary before the 2020 election. Always run. Well, I remember the president, I'm speaking of President Biden. I remember President Biden deciding to even run, if y'all remember this, because he did not want Trump to, he wanted to counter Trump. That was they kind of had to like encourage him, because I think he was going to kind of like fall back a little bit. He's like, I get my time, I'm gonna fall back. Now tell me if I'm wrong on this, crew. But I remember the president was a little bit hesitant about this. He's I'm gonna do one for the party. I'm gonna do one for the country. It's my duty, because we can't have Trump kind of go unopposed. I remember him saying that. I remember that was the conversation thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not express some hesitation at that point? All right, talk to me, y'all. Talk to me. And Carolyn Moore, you say, please understand that we must at this point in time, vote for Biden. Why? Because democracy is at stake. Absolutely, but democracy has always been at stake. Democracy has always been at stake. And the expectation, again, going to this, and I want to take a quick pause after this. The expectation is what? If we're putting the fate of democracy on one man and not putting the fate of democracy on the people, then I think that's where the problem begins. We cannot expect this president or any other person who is running in this position to save this country. The people, you, me, our family, our friends, our neighbors, our co-workers, our colleagues, we have to step up, not because of age, but because the country and democracy depends and requires constituent and citizen participation. It cannot be if it's just one man. Because even if you do get a Donald Trump in office, just say that for example, but you have an enlightened and empowered constituency, citizenry, then he only could do but so much power. See, if we become enlightened and come in power, then he's only able to do so much if he were to get back into office. So this is not about, oh, let's save that one man, that's old school. That's out the door. America is at a different place and requires a different level of engagement to be saved. This level of saving requires the people, not just one man. Stay with us, folks. We'll continue the conversation on the other side on the culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture. Let me bring my sister Suzette Speaks back into this. Suzette, you heard some of the comments from our crew, and people are very concerned. I want to throw this out here. This is from the conservative writer from The Atlantic, because I see some people are saying that this is also an attempt to change the conversation about the possibility of having Vice President Kamala Harris as the president. But listen to what Mr. Linker said in this piece, and we could talk about it. He said, let's go to quote 3, please. He said, as for those insisting that Biden would have to treat Vice President Kamala Harris as his heir apparent for fear of alienating the party's base of Black voters, this is another good example of misplaced risk aversion. The party's message should be that no one is entitled to a presidential nomination. If Harris wants it, she will have to persuade her party that she's more likely to defeat Trump than formidable alternatives such as Governors Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, Gavin Newsom, Jared Polis, and J.B. Pritzker, and Senator Raphael Warnock. That's how politics works, or should work.
Yeah, I don't know why we're taking cues from this conservative writer. I think what he's trying to do is sow doubt into the minds of the voter as to what the possibility of a vice president or second term vice president Kamala Harris will look like, and then a possibility of who having served twice as vice president, having served as a attorney general of one of the largest states, having served as a United States senator, will in fact be qualified if the voters choose her to run. So I think this is like a sideshow. This person wants to muddy the waters of the real issues at hand. And I disagree with, if I may, the point that you were making before the break when it comes to the possibilities for implosion of the United States government as we know it based on who we elect. Because I think we can't underestimate if Mr. Trump were to assume office again, now, unlike the very first time that he ran, he knows the different levers of the government. He knows the inner workings much better, and we were likely to see that Republicans who are aligned with him would try to do things that will not, as a policy matter, be a positive, will not positively impact the lives of you and I. When we're talking about all these courts that are getting ready to, listen to his case and other cases and everyday people's cases, when it comes to policy around, for example, Medicaid and Medicare, and whether those things should be private or not, whether now, they should sell it instead of it being run by the government to someone to charge you and I for when we get ready to retire as to what we will pay, and it will not be controlled by the government. When we look at policy wise, I think we got to kind of open up the picture a little bit beyond the age issue to what would happen in terms of the policy that would impact you and I. And being that, again, the Trump administration now would come in with much more experience, with much more know-how, and an agenda that I think would scare a lot of the folks who policy-wise don't agree with what he has going on. I think we have to make sure we are emphasizing that a vote against Mr. Biden, or a vote or apathy in terms of just staying home, is going to have an impact one way or the other. So yes, I do believe it all goes back to the people for that reason. But Mr. Trump could do a lot of damage if he comes back. Those progress reports that I was trying to outline before my computer crashed, but the things I was trying to say as far as like the federal bench, the same judges that we're going to see come back into play over and over again. Think about the mindset of who Mr. Trump will align with and choose to be on those benches for a lifetime appointment. Think about the mindset of what you would get from a Biden appointee as opposed to a Trump appointee, because they will, in fact, have the influence into how the government is shaped just by sitting on that bench. Right. So let me just policy argument that we're ignoring as a red herring. Age is important, but Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden both are old. I think that is, par for the course. I do think, again, there's a lot more said about Mr. Biden, President Biden, but we got to look at the reality of these two people will be on your ballot, on my ballot across this country, most likely, if we don't see any different outcome from the Supreme Court that, again, are majority now conservative leaning. But if we're not careful, we're worried about one thing when the reality is the other side knows what time it is. They know that if these two people are on your ballot, and again, I'm not saying we shouldn't change it. I'm just saying it's likely more than not going to change. So if we're telling people, let's dream of an alternate reality where there is no alternate reality, it is what it is, like it or not. And I'm not saying that this is life. Sometimes we have to swallow these very tough pills, but this is the reality of who's left. And if we're saying that we don't like this person, then I think we need to get ready to start to groom and look around for the future. But for 2024, there are a lot of octogenarians running our government, from the Maxine Waters to the Jim Clyburns to the Bernie Sanders that you mentioned.
And that's not,
Bernie would have
the
same argument. Bernie is old as well. This is a reality of who we continue to elect.
I get it.
So
let me just
stop voting for it. But you got to vote in this election either for Mr. Trump or for President Biden. That's the reality. So if you
let's do this though. Here's the one thing that this is why I have these conversations. One, we got to take the steam out of how much of a boogeyman Trump is, right? Like I disagree. I don't. If we're setting him up because he thrives in fear, he thrives in chaotic times. He thrives in controversy. Like if we don't take the steam out. If we don't humanize him, if you don't, you know what I'm saying? Because the cloud is, and this is what has made Donald Trump such a force in the political space. We're like, oh, I'm afraid. And like, we don't see. And it's like, wait a minute, hold up. Do you mean to tell me, yes, he's going to have some power if he is elected? Look, the Republican Party is facing the same dilemma as the Democratic Party, because they really have to put their hope. Here they chose a nominee who's up for how many trials he got this year? 3? Before the November election. So you mean to tell me like they don't have what's their game plan? You know what I'm saying? Like they have to deal with a nominee that is problematic, controversial, older, all of that stuff. Because if they don't have a plan B, then what? But the thing is that if we keep going to the American people, and this is just human behavior. If you keep throwing it out there like this is the boogeyman, and then the American people, some will respond with flight, will respond with flight or fight. They will like, oh, we're gonna fight. Some of them just step out. No, I can't deal with this. I'll take the chances. And I'm saying for us, especially as Black people in this country, we have been through so much already. You mean to tell me that we can't find some way to get our footing during a moment of uncertainty when we've gone through chattel slavery, Jim Crow, and all other systemic and oppressive structures and all of these things that we've gone through?
I know it's rhetorical in a sense, and I kind of see your point where you're saying it gives him power to be the big boogeyman, and I get that part. However, there is a danger. Like I said, January 6th, what we saw was like a precursor to what could be a window into his thinking now. A person who knows that he lost a race, tried every means possible based on what we saw just in the investigation by Congress as to what exactly happened and who knew what when. Twice impeached for that reason, to look into what was going on like at that time. And it is scary that now again that he has the knowledge of the system. It occurred to me even that his son-in-law Jared Kushner has said, like, even if Trump is reelected, he's not going back to Washington. I'm like, wow, that's an interesting fact that he doesn't want any part of that, because the people who were moderates, the people who were, they call them reasonable on the conservative side, are no longer welcome. That's the problem. This actually show should be titled, Should Trump Step Down? That's what, to me, this show should be titled. Because
we already, but here's the thing, though.
He's actually very, I'm talking about on what is his only goal, which has been to keep power, what he's done to what we talked about last week to the Republican Party. Why wouldn't that be a harbinger for what he possibly could see himself doing in terms of getting rid of everybody? He cleaned house. He wants to put his was it daughter-in-law in charge now is the new name?
The RNC.
Align the RNC with the campaign. What? So again, the litmus test for being a Trumpian Republican is just allegiance to him. We've never had a king. We've never had that, like, before, of course, the revolution, but this is America. This is the type of leadership that is, I think, kind of opposite of what we look at in terms of constitutional principles. And I think, again, when we look at policy, Biden's track record is there for people to look at, to comb over with a fine-tooth comb, and to see what we just heard from HBCU funding. Trump didn't give more money to HBCUs. I think it was Obama's administration that gave the most money. When it looks like, when we look at, loan forgiveness and things, gun reform, even though we had small movements in Congress, it came under Biden. Biden also used the executive order method to try to get certain policy changes going. He's working on behalf of the people, the same folks that we are targeting here within this platform. What do you think your outcomes will be? What do you think Trump is going to do? Like, it is an astonishing kind of contrast, but not to boogiefy him. I get what you're saying, but the reality is, what do the policies look like when we already have programs where Biden has helped to pass the bills that have funded all of these amazing projects across our country, and then we have Republican governors that then go back and say, well, we're going to reject the federal funds. We don't want the 250, sir, on infrastructure, on Medicaid expansion for our kids. There is a policy outcome that we must consider, is all I'm saying. So
no, I agree. I agree with that part.
Wrapped up in the person and and again, you could spoof 80-year-olds to the end of time because they're right. 80. I get that. Right. I don't know that it's helpful though for the reality for the voter in the 2024 election that has two nearly 80 and 80 plus year olds as the choices on the tables. What I'm saying is I would rather be realistic as to what might happen And the changing of the guard, either on the Republican side, they've proven they keep voting for your boy. And here we go on Biden's end. We haven't seen the challenger that everybody so-called says they want. So it is hard to kind of like ignore it. And I get it, and it is a valid observation and concern.
We can't ignore it.
But when we look at policy wins, there's a lot to account for.
Hey, Suzette, you are my sister, and I have nothing but love and respect for you. Real talk. But guess what? The American people, we have not been conditioned to think about policy when it comes to picking and choosing our elected officials. I'm so sorry. That is a cultural force that has to be established in this country. We have always been conditioned that the government will save us, that your political leaders have all of the answers, right? We have always been conditioned that any grievance that you have as a Black person in this country, bring it to the government to be resolved. This is how we're being conditioned. Now we're at a point in this country where we actually have to become active citizens. We have to become knowledgeable. We have to learn how the system works. We have to understand that there's a difference between a public message from a candidate and then their private thoughts behind closed doors. All of this is coming to head, and then we expect people to be able to differentiate between facts and fiction in a time where we have artificial intelligence, social media misinformation, as well as we have just outright lies, and then the massaging of terms to no longer say lies, alternative facts, which equal as if we are part of a Marvel alternative universe here. Right. It's a lot to ask for the American person, the citizen. And I think part of this, very quickly, I think part of this is that we have lost hope that people can think on their own, that people know what's best for them. I think undergirding all of this is not just fear, but we don't really believe that the American people can do that they want to do. We don't trust their judgment. And so when people say, and I see it in the chat, people are like, we're so misinformed and people are just stupid and da da da. It's like, oh, so you really don't think that the American people know what's going on? You don't think that white voters know what's going on, Black voters don't know what's going on? That's why we having these different conversations, because it's like, we got to look at this thing in the big scheme of things. There is a change in this country. And I'm staying hopeful. I might be cautiously optimistic, but I'm staying hopeful that the American people are waking up, that the citizenry is getting to a place where we're saying, hold up, this doesn't make sense. That's why I did say, even if Trump becomes president, the real stopping force for all of his policies and his attitudes and all of that is going to be the American people. It's got to be the white voter, not just the Black voter. It's got to be the Latino voter, not just the conservative voter. It's got to be a knowledgeable group of constituents at this point. That's what I'm saying. So we're asking people to kind of go with the program, but then at the same time, we want them to be informed.
I agree with what you're saying, Farajii. I'm just saying the track record, being that Mr. Trump allegedly tried his hardest to overthrow an election, to say that he won and didn't. Think about that mindset. Think about the gall. The same voter that we're relying upon to make the decision. And I trust the voters, but I do think there are a lot of folks that don't know what's right, what's as far as the information available, what's right, what's wrong, what's accurate, what's not. We have a whole swath of the country that still believes on the Republican side that Mr. Trump won. They don't acknowledge that they tried to cheat, if you will. And the big lie is what has turned us against, one another and made us seem as if our policy agendas are separate, when oftentimes we want the same things, regardless of race. We want to see the same things in our leaders, regardless of race. This is a distraction to say, there is a far right radical portion, and it's not even the majority of the Republicans. We have to think about that base, so-called MAGA, if you will, is about a third of the Republican side, but they are in control. Trump has given them the leverage to be in control. So again, the policy that will come out of that remaking of the RNC that we talked about on last week's show, where reasonable folks, moderate folks, no. Nikki Haley, the last one standing, and she'll probably get exiled. Maybe have to, be relegated to the outskirts of their policy development going forward, because he actually talks about issues. This man does not talk about any issues. It is I've been wrong, it's a grievance, and I want power for you. But again, the question is to do what and on whose behalf? Black folks got to be very cognizant of the policy, and hopefully we're doing some of the work here, teaching look, in progress. You don't know what it is, but we don't tell you what. But you got to pay attention, check different sources. Like I said, we even discussed the conservative writer who, again, I'm like, we got to balance that out. Listen to NPR, listen to some of these other ones that have, for every age-related article anti-Joe Biden, I can find you 3 or 4 about this is,
and that's fine. And that's fine. That's fine. And look, at the end of the day, and I know we are over time, but at the end of the day, if we bring these ideas out for all of us to hear, and then we can think about it, we can process it, we can discuss it, then we're doing our job, Suzette. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to present a one-sided conversation and just act as if the other side doesn't have anything to say, nor are they or act as if they're not even in existence. That is dangerous. That is dangerous in America.
And
we cannot stay in our. And this is an imperfect system. And
I don't have the answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
I hear you.
So let's deal with it. We got to take
I hear you. All right, take a break, man. Stay with us. On the other side, we're celebrating Black love. We got a fantastic couple that's going to talk to us. Let's get out of politics. Let's talk about having healthy relationships. Let's talk about love. Stay with us. That's coming up on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! A real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Man, oh man, well, powerful first hour of conversation with my sister Suzette Speaks as we talk about the bigger question, should President Biden drop out? And it's an ongoing discussion, and we'll certainly do that as we are talking about these things, of course, leading up to the presidential election, and more importantly, changing the culture of politics in this country. So that conversation, make sure y'all be, if you missed any part of that discussion, you can go back and be a part of Team Replay to check us out. Also, go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. While you're there, we ask you to download the app for free on all your devices. While you're there, we ask you to put something in the bucket for us as we are making a path and trees and blazing the trail in this digital space. But your support means the world to us. So again, we thank you for all of those who have already donated. Mr. Errol Carter, he checked in today. Errol, thank you so much for your donation. As You heard myself and my sister Suzette talking about politics. Earl said, let me put something in the bucket for this. Earl, thank you so much, brother. We truly appreciate it. All right, let's talk about love. It is Valentine's Day. Yesterday was National Black Love Day. And so I thought it was only right that we have a couple on here to teach us about the do's and don'ts and the ways to have a healthy relationship while still being in love for so long. So joining me right now are our very special guests. We have Mr. Theodore and Mr. Theodore and Mrs. Rita Smith, who have been married for 42 years.
Yes, Lord.
As we celebrate Black love. I want to say first to Brother Theodore and Sister Rita, I apologize it took so long to get to you as we're having this heated and very important conversation. But we wanted to give an opportunity to talk to you because you have actually, not only have you been married, but you have a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom to share with those of us who are either looking for someone, or those of us who have been married, or those of us who are trying to maintain their marriage. So what better way to do it than to hear from people who are in the struggle, quote unquote, and have been doing it well for 42 years. First and foremost, congratulations, man. Oh, man. Your relationship was actually highlighted in a Business Insider article. Y'all talk not only about the bonds and commitment of marriage, but y'all even give us some sex tips and intimacy tips. And
well, I've been going 47 years too.
Man, 42 years, son. Brother Theodore, Miss Rita, Sister Rita, thank you so much. Talk to us about how have you been able to keep your marriage going on for so long, and you still look very, very happy together. Talk to us.
Well, I'm gonna say this: prayer first. God, my faith in God.
Come on.
Relationship. Just keeping it spicy. Respect. Commitment. I mean, when I say commitment, communication, learning each other, looking at who you're married to, taking a good look at a good spectrum look, and becoming submissive. Oh, that was one of the hardest things for me right there. Whew. That submissive part was so hard. I was like, Lord have mercy. I like everything the Bible says except for that.
You open a can of worms, Miss Rita. You open a can of worms.
That was hard for me, but it wasn't like he was like, oh, you got to do this or you got to do that. It wasn't like that. But that was my hard thing, being just coming under, because I have an outgoing personality. I'm a very confident person. So, certain things, he would say, I'm like, oh, you talking to me? Oh, okay, I got to submit, Lord. So I'm doing good now. I mean, it's 43 blessed years today, and I'm doing great.
That's a blessing. Brother Theodore, talk to us. What's your take on this process and this journey called marriage?
Well, I think it takes two with this process, It say, how can two walk together unless there be an agreement? And I believe the key is in agreement. You got to be on the same page. She can't be pulling one way and you pulling another way. We got to be on one accord.
And when you're talking about that agreement, what's at the root of that? Because we can agree on the foods we eat, we can agree on the activities that we do, but where does that agreement really matter the most?
Well, I think that's through time. You don't understand it right away. But for me, it was like, I will make a decision. My wife might not agree with it. But what I learned through experience, when she don't agree with it, it don't work right. It's trial and error. And I come to grips with that. Even though I'm the man of the household, I don't push that issue there. The main thing, being on the same page. Because if I make that fall, she might say, well, I told you don't do that. But I learned through experience. Vice versa with her. Right. If I say don't do it, she'll do it. But then she'll learn. Oh, yeah. We come together. It don't work that way. We got to be on that same page.
Come on, Suzette. Come on, I know you got something to say.
So many questions because there's beauty in this. And I went through
experience, though.
Yes,
Absolutely. I went to a wedding. I emceed a wedding in Miami Beach this weekend as an MC and host, and it was just so enlightening, Farajii, to see the love in the room and at the earlier stage of what this beautiful couple has experienced. Now, there are so many people that are super single giving their advice now on the internet, so I'm so glad to hear it from people with actual experience. So there's something, I have 5 questions about opposites attract and about being in agreement, because I think there's some schools of thinking that say allowing a person to be who they truly are, and that your husband or your mate should not necessarily always have the same personality characteristics, desires, or even like hobbies that you have, that it's better sometimes when it's differences, but you have to have the maturity to allow that person to be different. Also want to ask you guys, did the person have the ready-made characteristics, that list that they talk about when you met them? And did you see it develop over time, or did you allow for some maturing to take place, or did you see everything that you wanted? Wasn't no real huge flaws anyway that kind of turned you off. So I wanted to ask about that when it comes to the real opposites attract, or I think it might be a problem if the person is exactly like you personality wise, or even goals or career goals and hobbies. I think it might be better, but I'd love to hear your take on that. And did you give the person space to grow, or were they already what you wanted when you met them?
I like that. Ready-made.
I would say that with time, you when you're growing together, he's everything I want in a man, you know. And that was since day one, to be honest with you. Since day one, he's everything. I mean, he's kind, he's considerate. We have 3 children; they're adult children now. And we raised these kids. We did the best we could with them. He's the best dad. We prayed with our kids. We came together with everything. We those decisions that we made to put them in homeschool, private school, because I was a homeschool teacher. Every decision, we walked together with everything. And during all of this, we grew together. You know, raising our children, we were still growing. It wasn't like, okay, we raising these children and we ain't got no time for ourselves. Oh, no. We were still growing also. And we were still learning each other also.
And also, let me say this here too. My wife came from a Christian home. I didn't. I came from a home, every Sunday was a tradition where they gamble. We gamble for money. So we came from 2 far distance apart, totally apart. I came from a single parent home. I had a beautiful mother. She worked it hard. Yes, she worked at 3 jobs with no husband. And through that, you know, it kind of helped me to see the love for my wife, really, that I didn't want to have my wife to go through all that, you know. So what the bottom line is, we came from 2 different homes.
2 different
She had the training, I didn't have the training. So some of the things I had to lean on her for, she taught me how to be a good father to the children. And she taught me how to love, and vice versa. I taught her some things.
Hey,
There it is. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation as we talk to Theodore and Rita Smith. This is a fantastic couple that's been married for 43 years, and they're giving us their words, some words of advice. We'll talk about everything from keeping the marriage hot to dealing with money and to dealing with challenges within a relationship. So, folks, post your comments if you have some comments or questions as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. Just jump in the chat and post your comments or questions. Also, we're streaming live on Roland Martin's Facebook page, and you can post your comments in the chat there. And stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister and great contributor, Suzette Speaks. As we talk to our special guest today, we are joined by Miss Rita and Mr. Theo Smith, who has been a model couple for the next generation, for all of us, as they have been together for 43 years. If you have not had a chance to learn about their story, you could just type them into Google, and guess what? They will pop up on the Griot has done something. I think it's Essence Magazine, Business Insider. Everybody is trying to give a little bit of wisdom from these great folks about how to have a healthy and happy relationship, especially when it comes to marriage. Brother Theo and Miss Rita and Sister Rita, are y'all surprised? How are y'all taking like this newfound sense of fame, because y'all are everywhere? You know, people are writing about your story. They're putting your pictures out of you from back in the day up until now. How are y'all handling that at this moment? Oh, yeah, man, I think we got you on mute. Is we on mute?
We're on mute.
Okay, we can't hear him.
No, we can hear you now.
Now we can hear you now, Brother Theo.
To me, it was just a normal thing for me, and really, I don't think much of it because it's just something I just do. My wife started out, you know, I'm more of a laid back person, kind of private person. But my wife got the personality to get up and to, you know, talk on the internet. I wasn't about all that. But I allow her to be herself, you know. That's the thing that keep us her humor, you know, keep me laughing. So I just allow her to be herself, you know, and she been herself, and I love it, you know, and it's just a normal thing to me. I can't believe it, but that's just the way it went.
You're viral.
That's what I'm saying. Like, hey, Sister Rita, you are actually viral. You're known on TikTok as Auntie Riri.
I know. A state of shock. Let's say that word. Because all I've ever known is to be a homemaker, you know, because I never really worked. you know, helped to raise children and did a wonderful job with it with God and the help of my man. When it comes to being a parent, I am the ace. You know, when it comes to being a mom, I am the ace. You know, and so when this happened, I'm like, oh my God, is this real?
This is very real. This is very real.
I know. And you know, when we travel, you know, and go on different, you know, projects and stuff, and when we come back home, it's so funny. We come back home like we never did anything. When we come home, I'm Rita.
Normal. Better normal.
I am Rita. And everywhere we go, everybody like, look a bad girl with Rita. So I'll be looking around like,
she done took it from you. Bad girl, really, let's go.
I'm serious. I have to, like, we went out to eat, nice restaurant, food, oh, awesome, before we came here. And they said, oh, look at Bad Girl Ruby. Hey, Bad Girl Ruby. So I'm looking like, what's shit?
The other Riri. I love it. I love it.
When I stepped from home, I was Rita, you know?
Right. So you kind of gotta you all have been redefining yourself at this point, and this is wonderful. It has been wonderful. Brother Theo and Sister Rita, talk to us about how to handle the challenges of being in a relationship. This is always a sticking point for a lot of people, especially for us in the Black community. That now we're at a point that we're not very patient with people. We're not as tolerant with people anymore. It's like the first sign that a person is not, you know, they do something that we don't like. People are out the door, that type of thing. How do you handle that? How do you get past those moments in that point?
Well, I think one of the things to realize is that we're humans. You know, we're going to make mistakes. But the key thing is, it's not the end of the world. Just ask each other for forgiveness. And the beautiful thing about that, we might be, you know, upset for a minute or two. But when we comes to grips with it, the beautiful thing when I say I'm sorry or she's sorry, and I see that smile on her face, that just blessed my heart. You know, that, you know, we can say I'm sorry.
Right.
That's the key. You know, we human. You know, and she not perfect. I'm not perfect. You know, but we're perfect for each other.
Come on now. That's
so
it.
You know, and I just have to admit to y'all sometimes, forgive me. I'm sorry. That's a little word, but it's pack a lot of power. And it's learned over time. Just, you know, just ask each other to forgive us. Or I'm sorry. You know, we never go to bed upset or mad with each other, you know, and that's be it.
Self-control for me. Because look, self-control for me, because you know how women are, like, we just speak out. Like, I'm a very voiceful person. If I don't like something, I'm going to say it. And then if you can't hear me, I'm going to go a little loud.
Hey.
So what happened was I had to learn self-control, because he keeps self-control. And I was like, Lord, I'm tired of praying for this. Let me have self-control. I need self-control, because it's about respect. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. He respects me highly. And I'm about to cry. Give me a second. He respects me highly. He thinks the world of me. And I do with him also. When you're in a relationship and you're in a marriage, when you come out, you want to represent, I want to represent him like he is the king that I'm married to. Because he's always representing me like the queen. And you know what? That keeps me humble. That, you know, it's like we have our own, you know, identities, but we like night and day. But we come together. We come together because we love each other. We're not just plain love. You know, I'll ask him, what can I do separately? What can I do to please you? Because he's always pleasing me. You know, he's always doing things for me. You know, even this anniversary, I told him, I said, please do not buy me another piece of jewelry. I don't want another ring. I don't want nothing. I just want us to enjoy each other. Bottom line.
Did he listen?
Probably not.
Well, if I can do this, if I can do this right now,
you can.
I had brought her, like, our anniversary is 43 years. I had a guy deliver 43 roses to the house. I also brought her some perfume. I gave her a little cake. And I put a little queen on her head because this is my queen. And I brought her this necklace. I was going to give it to her at the restaurant. We're at the hotel right now.
You didn't.
Doing this live. We're at the hotel even right now. And I brought her this little necklace. And I wanted to, since I said we was going live, I wanted to show my love towards her. It's a necklace with a heart. And I want to present this to her. You're my sweetheart.
Where they make men like this at? Praise God. Praise God. This is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We can feel the love through the screen, y'all. We can feel the love through the screen. Wow.
Look, no.
That's
No, I
That's so
don't even want to show my
beautiful.
face. Let's go back to Brother Theo and Sister Rita.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's so gorgeous. Because Farajii, could I ask a question?
Please,
Because
please,
I just
Stephanie.
love
My
it,
goodness.
and we can feel y'all's real, genuine love and respect for each other. And I am grateful to, have had, aunts and uncles and people. Not everybody gets to see this, right? There are a lot of people that think this is a fantasy and that this ain't real. And I want to ask you, Miss Rita, what you were just talking about when it comes to self-control. Miss Rita, I was listening to an NPR piece on Sunday about how people, and I just thought to myself as a woman, how we need to better approach what we say and when we say it, especially to those who we love. Now, again, we come from a culture, speak your mind. We come from a culture, I love you, I'm going to tell you how I really feel.
Right.
And I heard the commentator offer that the preservation of the relationship is the most important thing. And how we should use that as the measuring stick as to what we share and when and how we share it, as opposed to like what you're just talking, not opposed to, along the lines of what you just shared, where the goal is the unity, the goal is the longevity, the goal is to preserve my king or my queen's feelings, even though I have a lot to say or what I want to say. Can you give us a little bit more guidance when it comes to maybe some real life examples of when you have had that level of, I'm thinking about the other person and the unity of the relationship first, as opposed to what I want to say and when I want to say it? And I also want you to touch back on that submission piece. What you just done, sir, Mr. Smith, people will call it in this current culture, oh, he's soft, he go hard. What would you say to young men who are being taught that not to do too much for a woman, or that it will lead to exploitation if they do too much too quickly for a woman? I want to ask you that, Miss Rita, about that self-control piece, and then also about what we're hearing in this culture called simping. I hate that word, that men are doing too much, or men that do too much, something is wrong with that, as opposed to what we're doing you guys demonstrate right now.
When I speak of self-control, I came from trauma, a child abuse from my mother. So I was like angry, very, very angry. And so my thing was, if you said something to me, I said, nobody gonna tell me what to do, how to do it, and when to do it because of what happened in my past. And one day he said something to me, and I was like, he said something as simple as tell the children, not to touch stuff. And I'm like, don't tell me what to do and this, that, and the other. And then I said, girl, are you crazy? Well, like, what is really wrong with you? I didn't really realize I was still going through that. But let me tell you something. God helped me. I mean, he prayed for me. I started opening up to him and telling him some things that I never had spoken about, in my past. And with the trauma, because I didn't realize it was the trauma. And so I was like, I can't bring this in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do this because he's not that person, And I had to learn self-control because of what happened to me. And I didn't get a chance to speak out or say anything. I had to just take it, And I was like, oh boy, I'm not taking nothing off of nobody. Not realizing, at the time, girl, look who you married to. He's not your abuser,
My Lord,
And so,
that's a word.
and submitting, I'm like, to who? No, I'm not.
Mm-mm.
But the beautiful thing is you have to know who I'm married to. I'm not just married to a man that walk around because I don't work anywhere and I get to wear all kind of luxury and do this, that, and the other, And people look at that and say dust, and dust. But when you look at him, he's a very good man to me. I have been through the storm and the rain. I have been so sick to death's door in my early ages. And when I was like 26, and he would take me to so many different specialists. And during that time, do a lot of praying for me and everything. And God saw us through. That was a rough time in my life. So you're gonna, I'm going through all this. So then, I'm not gonna be sassy. You know what I'm saying? Like, be disrespectful. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm gonna have self-control because you know
Got
what?
it.
He could have left me in that sick bed or at that hospital or on my deathbed, right?
Right.
He could have done that to me, But then you look at who you married to. You see your person and how your mate treat you, and all you can do, I'm gonna say, is this: take a bow.
That's beautiful. We got to take a break, Farajii.
I know we got to take a break because I'm emotional right now.
I'm
I can't
loving
even
this.
keep myself. I can't even keep myself, and I don't want to hold them up any longer. But Brother Theo and Sister Rita, Aunt Riri, I cannot thank you enough for both of you for being such wonderful examples for the culture. I mean that, and I'm so happy that your story has been chronicled in all these different places and online, and you're doing interviews because we're just not seeing it today, And something that I'm listening to you say, Sister Rita, is that you got to have respect for one another. I mean, deep down, fundamental respect for one another. You respect him as not just your husband, but you respect him as a man. You respect him as a partner. You respect him, and he does the same for you. And can see your role. He sees you as his wife, his queen, but he also sees you as a woman that deserves the respect. So it's a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing, and I'm kind of like speechless. I'm listening to you, and I'm seeing it, and I'm feeling it, and I'm just speechless. So we got about 30 seconds. I wanted to extend that to you, Brother Theos. You can say whatever you need to say. I guess the big thing is, what do you want us to learn from hearing your story and just some of the wisdom that you gained from being together for 43 years? What do you want us to learn?
Well, let me give a message for the men.
Okay.
Let me say to the married men first. To the married men, we meet these women, they fine, beautiful, but the key thing is to continue to do those things that you've done for that woman when you met her. Okay? You keep loving her. You don't stop there. You keep cultivating her. Marriage is going to take work, and you continue at that. And let me also say to the single men, most important, I've been there, done that. I come from off the street. I shared earlier, we come from a different background. I come from off the street. I had no father in the home to show me no example. Nobody taught me this here, okay? But when you love somebody, you learn to respect that person. If anybody could have had trauma, I find out a lot of single men, they have more trauma, and they're using that trauma as an excuse. But the main thing to remember, you treat somebody like you want to be treated. Just because you've been traumatized, why would you traumatize someone else? You see? So I think as Black men, we got to get past that. If that's, you got to go get counseling or to go get help, you need to go get that, because we passing that on to the women. We supposed to be the backbone, the strength of the household. But today, men are carrying themselves, I hate to say it, like women. There's no backbone. That's why the women got to step up and takes the man's place and do what a man should be done when the woman should be laying back. And we wonder why the woman can't perform. She up under so much stress because she got to carry that load. You see? So I would suggest that young men, if you're seeking trauma in your life, or if you're going through things in your life, you know, pray about it, seek counsel, or whatever it takes for you to do to get past that.
Come on, Sister Rita, any final words from you?
My final words would be to the single women, a lot, because I get a lot of this in my DM. You say you want to be married. Pray, wait on God. Don't settle. Do not settle. And the other thing, excuse me, that I would tell them to do, be confident. Be confident. And don't play games with these guys. Meaning, don't settle. If you say you don't want a man with children, and he's starting to treat you good, but you see these children still here, keep walking. Keep going. Don't settle. Because I refuse to settle. And look how I'm living now.
Right.
Hey.
All right, there it is right there. There it is, Brother Theo, Sister Rita. Sister Rita, thank you. Thank you for all that you shared with us today. Thank you for being an example. And more importantly, thank you for putting your story out there that is so good for the culture. We truly appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your time and your family. But I thank you for your time with us today.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
God bless y'all. God bless y'all. Man, oh man. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's check in with our sister, music artist Tiana Yanni, that she's talking about making music for love and for the soul. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Man, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by our great contributor, Suzette Speaks. Let me bring my sister
Happy
in
Valentine's again, everybody. That was beautiful. That was perfect for Valentine's Day, Farajii. That was perfect. I'm like, yes, thank you. That was beautiful. I loved it.
Oh, man. I can't even, I'm just like, I don't know what else to say. Like,
yes.
I'm gonna just put this out there, and then we're gonna just let it be what it is. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. All right, let's bring out our next special guest. She is a sister who is a burgeoning artist. She's making her way through the music industry. We've had her on before, as she talked about one of her songs being featured in a full-length feature-length film on BET. Now she's back with the second song called Tonight, and I'm very excited to have joining us right now as part of our ongoing honoring Black artists, independent artists, my sister Tiana Yanni. Tiana, welcome back. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tiana, did you see our couple, Brother Theo and Sister Rita? Did you check them out?
So when I saw them, I was like, oh my gosh, that's them. I've seen them so much on social media. They are adorable. They are goals. Relationship goals, okay? Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I wanted to, we wanted to have this conversation because you're doing the music that you make is music that is for the soul, but you honor love in a very, very big way. And I remember the last time you were on, you talked about how you wrote a song in honoring your husband and your family and the space that you were in. You got a new song right now that's out. But talk to us about how you're inspired by love.
Yes, so I'm definitely inspired by love, of course, because of my husband. So the song that I wrote tonight, we talked about the last time I was on here, and I wrote it for my wedding day. And the lyrics of the song truly speak to the heart. And for someone that's truly in love, they can definitely resonate with the lyrics of this song.
Wow. And talk to us about, like, you know, the message that you want to get out there to anyone that has a chance to listen to it. What message did you want to put out there about love?
Love is, I feel like in this society now, I love that you had the couple on before me. To me, today, marriage is not really honored and appreciated like it used to be. Like, we don't hear too much about, oh, I've been married for 30, 40 plus years anymore. We've been married 10 plus years now. I want my message to be that love is something we should take serious. It's something that comes with your good days and your bad days, you know? It's something that comes with not just all, you know, sunny days with each other. You have to truly dig into, like the guy was saying, the traumatizing times that marriages have and that individuals have. You know, you have to work through all of those things.
Absolutely, Suzette. I mean, I know Suzette on your platform with Suzette Speaks Show. You often talk about relationships, so all of this is like right there in your wheelhouse. What are your thoughts and your questions for our sister Tiana?
I'm curious about, and I know we have to take a break, but I'm curious about what you love the most about being married, because again, as you pointed out, we hear so much negativity. Even Farajii, I think it was inadvertent in terms of a Freudian slip, the struggle of marriage. I think it could just be a journey. It could be some would call it even a game. I don't know. Our even how we use language to relate to it. It just feels as if it's something negative instead of something beautiful, like we just saw. Like, it has beauty. Like I said, the wedding that I went to, I was so overwhelmed by just the love in the room. So what do you love most about marriage, and maybe even what you love most about your hubby?
Yeah, I love, like you said, your choice of word is on point. The journey. I love the journey. I love that. When we first got together, there were a lot of things going on individually in our lives, and we have been able to grow together. He's seen me from basically when I was in college to now a wife and a mom. I saw him when he was, fresh out of a new career. He's a dad. So we go through all of these stages together. And I love that you have a best friend in marriage throughout all of that. Yeah.
Hey, smiling. I can tell it's good.
I know, right? I know. It is smiling ear to ear. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's continue our conversation with our sister, Tiana Yanni, who is a fantastic artist, and she talks about her song tonight. Folks, stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Joining me has been my sister, Suzette Speaks, as we've been talking to our second special guest, our sister, Tiana Yanni. Tiana, I got a question for you. Then I want us to play just a little bit of your video for your song tonight. I do have a question. Like when you are writing the songs, when you're writing the love songs, ballads, and everything, how do you make sure that you're putting out the right messages? Because we're finding that a lot of women in particular are getting their love cues, relationship cues from artists like yourself, from music artists, right? From those things like, we can go down the list. We can say, oh, whether you're talking about SZA, whether you're talking about a Cardi, whether you're talking about a Sexy Red, whether you're talking about Meg or any of these very powerful women artists. But a lot of these social cues that I see a lot of young Black women and women in general getting them from are from artists. So how do you make sure that you're putting out the right narrative and want to evoke the right emotion and have a healthy view of love? Because some of that, and I'm not talking about those sisters in particular, I'm just saying sometimes those messages can be very, very either divisive in some cases, they can be destructive in other cases. So what's going through your head when you're writing?
Yeah, I think that authenticity, being transparent 100% is something that I always want to make sure that I'm doing when I'm writing. So with the lyrics, it has to be true. And I do want to keep it positive because we're talking about love. We want to invoke some good emotions, when we're listening to this music. So I want to keep it positive, definitely.
I appreciate that. I want to play just a little bit of the video that we got of you. This is the latest video from my sister Tiana Yanni. This is the song is called Tonight. Check it out, folks.
Stop. Stop. I love you, and I wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life with anybody else. Tonight, don't ever let me go. Don't ever let me go. Tonight, don't ever let me go. Don't ever let me go. I will stay in your arms forever and a day. I will stay by your side forever and always. Forever and always. Tonight, don't ever let me go. Don't ever let me go. Oh, tonight, don't ever let me go. so let me go. I gave you my trust, and then I gave you my hand. And today I said I do, and I give you all that I am. When God brought us together, it was the beginning of forever. Always, always. Tonight, I won't ever let you go. No, no, no. I won't let you go. No, no. Oh, tonight, I want this to last forever. Tonight, it's me and you together. Tonight, it's the best day of my life, baby. Tonight.
There we go. The great Tiana Yanni. There we go.
Woo!
There we go. There we go. Let's give her a hand clap, folks. There we go. Oh my gosh. All right, Tiana, how can folks find you? How can they, listen to this song and some of the work that you're doing? Because you're putting out some wonderful messages that are just perfect for the culture. So how can folks find you?
Yes. Follow me on Instagram at Tiana Yanni Music and all other social media at Tiana Yanni.
There it is right there. What you think, Suzette?
Beautiful. I was like, wedding ready. Let's go. Beautiful and much continued to success.
Thank you. I was looking at the video and I saw me like in a cardigan, and I remember like I was in a car accident 2 days before my wedding, so I was just like stiff. I didn't have everything I needed, and like it was just an example of how I was like, I'm getting married regardless. If I don't have everything I need, I'm getting married.
That's it. That's it. That's how you go through it. That's it.
Yes, I love it.
You got to have that determined spirit. Hey, Tiana, you are always welcome to join us, especially when you want to break new music. But I truly appreciate you, the great work that you're doing, your artistry, the person you are. As I said it before, and I'll say it again, you are a voice and a force to be reckoned with. So, I'm just so happy that you're putting out these messages that are just perfect for the culture. Thank you so much, Tiana.
Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely. You too. You too. My sister Suzette had to end today off with a little love because we started off with some uncertainty and friction.
It is all good. And tonight I'll be on Rolling. So
you will be on Rolling tonight.
6 p.m. Yeah, I'm gonna go prepare real quick. You get my life together. But I'm excited. So y'all come over and join at 6 on RMU. That should be fun, right? Lots to talk about.
That should be amazing. That should be amazing. Make sure y'all check out my sister Suzette Speaks. You can see her on Roland Martin Tonight, RMU. You can find her on the Black Star Network. She is just continuing to grow and blossom into a force. She got a lot to say. She's bringing a lot of knowledge and forcing us to think a little deeper. So I'm always grateful for my sister and what she brings to the culture. Suzette, thank you so much. And God willing, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Farajii. Always appreciative of the support, and I'm always blessed by this platform. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. Big shout out to our very special guests, Tiana Yanni, and to the wonderful couple, Brother Theo and Sister Rita Smith, for stopping by and just sharing their thoughts on love. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful day of love. I hope that even if you say, I don't have a significant other, that you reach out to a family member, you hang out with your friends, do what you need to do to express. Who's laughing? Who is laughing?
Are we being called out here? Well, no.
No, I ain't calling nobody out. I'm just saying, if you don't have somebody like that tonight, it's all good.
Right.
Because Valentine's Day and National Black Love Day, it could be internal, Suzette.
Of course. Of course. It will be. It will be. Appreciate it. Happy Valentine's. Happy Valentine's.
All right, have a great one. All right, y'all, make sure y'all check out my sister Suzette Speaks on Rolling My Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But y'all know she's going to bring that heat and bring that fire. And we look forward to seeing her and seeing the show in a little bit. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Support us here at Black Star Network. If you love what we've been doing, if you enjoy the conversation, go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network and put something in the bucket. Again, we want to thank Brother Earl Carter for being one of our great donors today. And you could do the same right on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, follow me on social media at The Real Farajii on Instagram, at Farajii on the X platform, Farajii Muhammad on Facebook, and I would love to connect with you. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a fantastic evening. Great time spending it with your loved ones, and God willing, we'll be right back tomorrow. Talk to you then. Peace.